Okay.
Tim, check your recording message.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, unmute yourself. Not hearing you, Tim.
Can you hear me now?
Now we hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes when switching, it doesn't pick it up right. Sorry about that. Anyway, on the to do a decent job on LastPass, I came to the realization there's a little bit more than just LastPass that has to be covered. And realistically speaking, I find that there's generally three kinds of people currently doing internet access. One is a person that uses just a few passwords for anything and everything because they can only remember so many and they juggle it. Another group of people, they constantly keep a written list of all the accounts, the usernames and passwords written down. Great if you get hit by a burglar because he's got it now. They know where people hide stuff. And sometimes they even case people that they think might be a potential victim before they break in. You also have people that they may use a password manager to some extent, but they create their own passwords. Almost every password manager there is has a generator inside of it, which I'm going to try and demonstrate tonight. But a lot of this can start with the basic browser. So I'm going to try and share my screen. Get rid of that. Now I'm going to bring up my one browser here. I usually have three browsers, and that's because sometimes different issues come up with each browser. And I always have at least two accounts, an administrator's account and a standard account, which everybody needs to use. When you're using LastPass, every account and every browser needs to be modified. But a lot of people don't know this stuff. Also, there are a couple issues related to it that I thought of, and I am in the process of creating a written document I can share with everybody. If I come down here on Edge to settings, you have right here three items, very, very important. Personal information. I turn mine off by clicking on this. When it's blue, I turn it off. I don't want to record or willy-nilly passing out personal information of mine. On passwords, These three are usually turned on. I turn all three off. I don't want the browsers to save passwords. There's a lot of people that are using this feature. It used to be the browsers did not encrypt any of the information. You get hit with malware or a hacker, it can steal the information and use it to their heart's content. At the same time, too, they are now encrypting it, but we don't know the resources of these criminals to possibly break the encryption. So I turn that off. There's also payment information. I turn this one off, and I've seen on people's machines one or more credit cards that I have serviced. And that is real dangerous because they can get a lot of the information, maybe not all of it without decrypting something, but they have potential access. And basically, this all looks this in a similar fashion because Edge, Chromium, and Chrome are based on Chromium browser. If I go up to the three vertical dots instead of the three horizontal dots, I go down to settings, and I see a lot of similarity in how things look, but there are distinct differences. When I, excuse me, I think it's, no, it's not that. Sorry about that. I got the wrong one. Here we go. Autofill. This is a recent change. They broke it out from your profile information, which was initially shown, and they went to autofill. But here again is passwords, payment information. Oops, one got turned on. And address information. I turn all this stuff off. It's too dangerous to leave going. In Firefox, it's very similar, but here you use the hamburger to go down to settings. And under privacy and security, you uncheck login passwords. I have not seen it store other information, not that it might not. And this is another area you might want to consider unchecking also, because it will try and save that information. So these are the general three categories. Any data you find that you have saved in those areas on a line per line basis can be deleted. However, if it's credit card information and personal information, go ahead and delete it. If it's passwords and you're serious about using a password manager, you might want to hang on to what you've saved in the browser on passwords until you have the password manager up and running. And that's not a joke about that. Now, I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to take, and I'm going to, I've hidden something right at the moment. This is my Lastpass. Now, what it generally does, it gives you a search option at the top. So if I want to type in ZOOM, oops, I didn't click on it to get the cursor bar there. Here's Zoom. I've got two different Zoom entries. If I X out of that, I am right now in a Google account, so it's trying to list up at the top here all my Google accounts. and it's got 7 things that could be fillable. If I go to all, I have passwords, and I have no category and uncategorized entries out there. They accumulate over time. And I created my own folders for applications, banks, businesses, devices, drugs, email, entertainment, finance, groups, health, etc., etc. And under each one, I have all the various entries that I can go to by just simply clicking on one of these, and it will bring up a new tab. It will bring up that site. It will plug in my username and password with a proviso. Banks and financial institutions, being very leery about criminal activity, will try and put some roadblocks in. It's still very doable once you figure out the tricks. Now, also out of Lastpass, we have in, if we want to, notes. These are secure notes. And I have a whole bunch of categories here. And offhand, since I have multiple computers, I have a category called computer, and that computers list each one of my machines, identifying it. I have the administrator's username and password. I have the standard user's name and password. And if necessary, I also include a PIN number for that individual account, but I only use PIN numbers on standard accounts. Now, Lastpass, and these are just general tips I'm covering in the document that I'm creating, by the way. So, and this Google Drive here, these are some of the videos some of you asked about in the beginning. So these are various videos. Most of them are edited on here, but I think there's one that I haven't edited yet. I haven't had time to get to it. But other than that, these are all videos that currently exist, and I'm just adding that in there. Now, how do we deal with Lastpass? Okay, now offhand, oops, boy, that little bar at the top for sharing the screen can be a pain. Lastpass.com. This is the general site for Lastpass, and whether you're personal or business, I'll click on personal since that's what all of us are going to likely be doing, and they can give you some additional information out here. Now, Lastpass was bought out by LogMeIn a couple of years back. And so what they did was, it used to be all of Lastpass was free. It worked on Windows, it worked on Mac, it worked on Linux, etc. It still does. But if you want to use it on a smartphone only, it's free. If you want to use it on a tablet, a laptop, a desktop, you can use it for free. But if you want to have both, then you're going to have to pay a monthly fee of just under $3 a month.
Yeah.
I think it's $2.99. There are other password managers that may be free. The most recent one I learned about, my mind went blank on the name. I know what it is, but offhand, some of the others, you have to pay a fee just to use them. So I've been using LastPass for over a decade. I like what I get out of the stuff. Now, if I take and go to Outlook.com just for a site. All right, and I go to sign in. Now, this is normally the way I would get into LastPass myself, but usually a login screen comes in where you have to put in your email account. So I type in my email account and then it asks for the password. But what you will see on the right side, excuse me, I got to get out of this. Yeah, and it's not going to let me get out. Hang on. I just got to get rid of this. All right. Now, if I come over here to yahoo.com, now, if right now it says I am logged in here, so it would show my same thing. I'm going to sign out. And now I'm going to go to my email icon. And it remembers I was logged in here. So I click that. Notice this little black square. It's got 3 little dots in it and a little number in a smaller square to the bottom right. That's LastPass. If I click on this, it shows me my accounts for Yahoo. And if I wasn't only one account here, I might be changing to one of these other ones. And I can click on any one of these and it would change the password. If I don't click on anything else, it will automatically go log me in and I start seeing my emails. So this is part of what LastPass does. It is normally a function of a extension to your browser, but they also make a desktop version. The desktop version, I haven't had a chance to test out yet. It used to be able to take with a desktop app, and the very first time you run it, it will offer to suck out all of your emails and other information it finds in your browsers, erase it in the browsers for you, and put it into LastPass. So how does this work? I'm gonna take LastPass, bring it up again. I'm gonna sign out. Now, I'm gonna get out of that part. Now, if I come back into here, LastPass is showing as a black icon. Notice this little, looks like an eye with a slash through it. If I click that, LastPass now appears on this second bar below the open tabs. I click it. I had to set up an email account address in here, and then there's the master password, and that's a misnomer. What you should have is a password phrase. Let's take the phrase, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. That's a little too long, but you break it up into something smaller. Have lowercase, uppercase letters. You might take O's and change them to zeros. L's and I's you might change to a shift 1, which is an exclamation point. This is to make it tougher. So theoretically, when you get done setting up a password manager, all you have to remember are your 2 account logins on the machine, plus the master password for Lastpass. And there is another way of setting up the passphrase, and that's called dissimilar words. Let's take example. The word perfect, the word squirrel, and the number 713. Now, I can make a number of different combinations. Let's take the simplest one, perfect squirrel 713. I can put that in. Perfect and a squirrel, most people are not going to think of, okay? That's dissimilar words. So you can use dissimilar words along with some numbers and upper lowercase lettering. And usually my policy is not to capitalize the first letter of any word. I instead pick a different letter in each word to capitalize, and usually it's not a vowel. It's usually a consonant. So that, and you have to understand too, there are a few restrictions. I'm going to log in here. So if you were standing here beside me, able to see and read the screen, you can see, and you'd have better luck watching what I'm keying. And here is my vault. Now, I only have it set to remember my email address. I never have it save my login password, because anybody unauthorized by you can come in, get into your LastPass and get the information. So the next thing is, how secure are these? When I create an account for an online entity, this system itself running LastPass will encrypt all that information, and then a copy goes up to my cloud account with LastPass. LastPass can never help you directly with whatever your passphrase is for your account, because they have no idea what it is. And all your data is encrypted per your choice of passphrase. Now, that means if there are 100 million people using LastPass, that means 100 million people likely have a unique passphrase, and as the end result, they all have different encryption. So if I steal as a thief a copy of what's on LastPass account, besides having to have a pretty powerful mainframe computer to crack the encryption, I have to crack it one account at a time. I cannot, there's no one password to break into all those different accounts. So it could take forever. Now, this is the secure generated password generator in LastPass. Note this icon here, because if you're using going to change the password in an existing account, or you are going to create a brand new online account, you will see in the password field on the right side that emblem. If you click on it, it brings up the generator automatically. And this is generally what it looks like. there's a suggested password that's uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, but not symbols because it's not check marked. So I put a check mark in symbols, it changed. It added symbols to it. Most sites will accept that. Some sites restrict what special characters can be used on their site. And some say you cannot use special symbols. In that case, you unclick it and take out special symbols only. This little symbol over here on the right side that I'm pointing to is like a refresh symbol that you see in other places. If I click that, and let's say I was using symbols again, if the symbols that it uses do not comply with a restricted set for that site of symbols allowed, you have to keep cycling through until you get a password with the symbols that will be accepted. Once it's done, for insurance purposes of my own, I will highlight it. I will do a Control-C to capture that password in case something goes wrong in saving the information. And that's happened from time to time. That way it's in my clipboard, but that also means I have the responsibility, once it's properly saved, I have to go clear the clipboard so that that information is gone. I also want to point out length of password. It used to be I used 12-character passwords. These are not supposed to be memorable. You're not supposed to remember them. You're not supposed to think about remembering them. But right now, for several years now, due to a recommendation by security experts, I use at least a 16-character. But you have to know and understand there are some sites that restrict the length of your passwords. Some it's 24, some it's 32, and some it's 36. So if you want to have a 36-character password all the time, there are times it's going to reject it, and the reason is the length, and you'll have to shorten it. And once you got it to the right size and all acceptable, you just forget about it. Lastpass will capture it automatically. Right now, I haven't even thought of an idea how to show you how it will capture it. But if I were to go into a site, notice too, by the way, if this is black, I am logged out of Lastpass, just like it was originally. If it turns a goldish color, you had a problem logging in. Try again. If on the other hand, it's red like this, that means Lastpass is now live and active and ready to use at any time you're on the machine. When you are done, it's up to you whether you close Lastpass before shutting down the system or leaving it up. It's a security privacy issue. Let's put it that way. So I can't tell you how to do that part. If I were to open up, say, a new bank account, it's going to ask you to put in a username and password. Sometimes the bank gives you that information when you set up the account. You have to treat the password they give you as a one-time use password, and it's not very strong. It's a very poorly made password. The username, go with it. And what you want to do is put in that username they gave you, put in the password they gave you, that gets you in. And depending on the site, you either go to your account information or security settings. And there, in one of those two places, you should be able to find about your password and giving you an option to change your password. When you click on that, that's where you'll use the password generator to generate a new password for you. And you can click on the emblem in the box or click up here to bring this up. And if this password meets that account's restrictions, then you can just click on fill password. Again, I would highlight it, do a copy to my clipboard before I hit fill password. And it will then change the passwords in the account. When you say save your changed passwords, LastPass will pop up a message in the corner upper right area asking you, do you want to save that password and user information for that account? Now, before you do it, and I didn't have time to prep for this here, or I would have tried to come up with a good example that I could actually show you. But there's a setting inside the little box there that you want to click on, and it expands the box a little bit, giving you the ability to select an existing folder to put this account information in, or you can type in a brand new folder name and it will put your account information in a folder with that name. So if this is the first bank account you ever did, then I would call it banks or something along that line, and it would save that bank account in there. I know some people that have multiple bank accounts. So trust me, you might have one password in some of your folders. You may have a whole bunch in each one of your selected folders.
Question?
Yes.
Yeah, in setting up that password that you were showing that screen, are we setting up a password for each website, each bank, or one master?
If you go online, anything online that requires you to set up an account, you want to save it in LastPass. If you're currently using a paper that you write everything down on, when you feel comfortable enough with LastPass or another password manager, burn that paper. I'm not joking when I say that. The other idea is the fact that so many people do not know how to make a good password. This takes that out of your hands. So logging in the administrator's account, logging into the standard account, and logging into LastPass are the only three passwords I have to remember for me per machine. Now, at the same time too, let's say that I had another person using this same computer. They have an account also. I don't necessarily have to know their password for their account. However, they might want to use LastPass, but they may either want to use their own LastPass account, or they may share the same password, a LastPass account. That's between those using it. So it's kind of a combination of a personal thing that you have to understand and how you do things in your home with your equipment.
Jim,
Mm-hmm.
on LastPass, I might have missed it because I had to step away for a second. Is
Shame on you.
LastPass, is LastPass a program that sits on your computer, or is it an online location that you access? So that,
It's,
if you go and use a public computer somewhere
I
else,
have-
like if you're at the library,
I haven't gotten there yet.
oh, sorry.
You're
I'll wait.
a little too far ahead of me.
Okay, thank you. I'll wait.
Now, I want to go into settings here again. This is in Edge Chrome. It's very similar with Chrome, a little different in Firefox. I'm going to come down here in extensions in Edge Chrome. In Chrome, you have to go to more options or something like that, and it puts out a sub menu to the side, and the middle option is extensions. When I click on that, this shows you all the ones I have listed, but let's assume that there wasn't any out there. In Microsoft's Edge, I can go to here to get to Edge's accepted extensions, or I can come to this one down here. There's also the Chrome Web Store. You can go there, and I have a few that I use. I prefer going to the Chrome Web Store. Normally, it will pop up a message up here about the source that you're trying to get the extensions from. And bottom line, it's a case where, shall we say, it wants you to authorize using this source. And when you say allow, it will then challenge that to make sure that is exactly what you wanted. You allow that too. It will let you into the web store. I can type in LastPass and press enter. Now this one says that I already really have it with this green banner. Assume that that's not there. I just click on LastPass, and it would say add to Chrome, not remove from Chrome. It would then pop up a box here, and it would ask you whether you want to add or cancel the operation. If you click on add, it will go through the process of putting it into LastPass. I mean, an extension of LastPass up on the bar, but it disappears until you come into this little puzzle piece. Chrome has the same thing. And you come down and you click on the little I, because any I that's got a slash through it on Edge means that it's hiding it. If you click on it, suddenly it appears up here. I don't like going to the puzzle piece every time I want to know what one of my extensions are and use it. At the same time, too, you have a situation in Chrome. Instead of using the evil eye here, it uses a corkboard pin that's a white outline with no filler. If you click on that pin, it turns to a light blue or cyan color of the pin, and it does exactly the same thing. It displays that icon on the bar. And that's the way I normally operate. Now, what I want to do here is I want to temporarily get out of that one, and I want to bring up Firefox because it looks a little different, but the principles are the same. With one extra gotcha. And I can't show you here. I'll tell you that now. Now here, I go in Firefox to add on add-ons and themes. Now this shows what I have installed. I disabled most of this under extensions. Normally it comes up on recommended. These are various things they are suggesting you might be interested in. I don't necessarily need it. I just come up to the search box up here, key in Lastpass, press enter. There's Lastpass. I click on it. Come on. All right. Now, what it's saying right now, because I disabled my Lastpass deliberately, I can enable it. You would normally see add button here. You'd click on add, you get a confirmation message. Do you want to add or cancel the operation? And then you get a little confirmation up here when it's all added in. I can come back to the spine area here and type in other extensions one at a time and get them installed as well. This is what I normally use. Now, getting back to Joe's question that he started, there is Lastpass on the desktop. That's what it's called. This is good in the past, and I haven't had a chance to test it again with all the changes that have taken place. It will suck out all the stuff saved in your browsers and put it in Lastpass if you've got it set up already. So you have to set up an account first. And you have to think of a very good, long, but secure and complex type of a passphrase. Otherwise, the bad guys have a good chance of cracking your encryption, and they would have all your information if they steal information off of Lastpass. And with all the data breaches that are going on, that is a real possibility. But if you got a good password, I got a good password, and everybody else has a good password, we don't worry about that, because they've got to go through a powerful computer, a mainframe, in order to crack the encryption per user account. And that's what makes it safer. On the desktop, I didn't have time to load it on here. It will bring up what's called the vault view of Lastpass. So I'm going to enable this. There's Lastpass up there. I will log into this again. And you have to do all this with each browser, on each account, on each computing device you have.
Tim,
Yes?
question. If I understand you correctly, you're talking now, just spoke about the desktop. Is that separate from, well, I believe an iPhone? If I have a MacBook, iMac, are all those different entities, or is that the same?
Well, again, the desktop app is primarily for a regular computer, a laptop or desktop.
Okay.
Now, and you brought up what I said earlier, so I'm going to repeat again. With Lastpass, under its current management or ownership, if you want on your phone, I'm not sure if it includes a tablet or not, and you want it on laptops and desktops, you're going to have to pay a monthly fee that I think is like $2.99 a month. If you only put it on the computers and maybe the tablets, it should cost you nothing. If you put it only on the phone, you would pay nothing to use it. The bad part, if you put it on, say, just the phone, and you're using your regular computers, you have to have your phone there. You have to log into LastPass. You have to look up the account information, and you have to then manually type in on the computer your username and password once you have the site up. So it becomes a little laborious. Most of us use our laptop desktops the most. Therefore, and I can't speak for all tablets. Some tablets, it will work for free with laptops and desktops. Some may treat the tablet like the phone, and they might do that with Apple's devices. I'm not sure. I never had it for the Apple devices, so I can't address that. You'll have to look through LastPass documentation for that information.
Outstanding, great job.
Right now, it's primarily an extension. Now, also Joe's question said, well, let's say I went on vacation. I don't care if it's a friend, a relative, or just somewhere like the Grand Canyon, and I'm staying at a hotel. By the way, I would not use the computer at the hotel without a VPN. You're asking for lots of trouble. However, if you're using somebody else's computer because you didn't bring your computer with you, that's okay. As long as you've got permission, you can add LastPass to it. I would log in with my credentials. I'd make sure all the check marks were removed for remembering the login username and the password, so that when I'm done and I close LastPass, it's sitting there, but nobody has my LastPass account information who owns that machine. LastPass, as long as you have internet access, you have access to LastPass and all your content. There is a feature that I didn't set up a long time ago. I wish I had. It's a case of being able to access a local store on your computing device when there is no online access available. And that is doable, but that's a security setting. At the moment, I haven't had time to remember to look into that further, much less set it up, but I don't think it's a big deal. So all that does is it says, hey, if you don't have online access, I'll let you look at what I last recorded and saved on my individual machine. And that gets you right back into anything. But what good it's going to do you, I don't know, since you don't have the internet, and almost everything you store, except for in the notes area, is for internet connected accounts. In the secured notes, since I have one on computers and I got lots and lots of computers, if I can't remember the logins to those machines because I can't exercise each one of them every day, then I go into my secure notes when I need to. I look up the machine in the list. I'll give you an idea what I'm talking about. And it, oops, wrong. I clicked on the wrong thing. You want all items, not add an item. In fact, they discourage you from manually adding an item, because if you make a typo mistake, you're not going to get back into your account. All items are things that were automatically saved with the proper URL for that site, your username, and the password. And I'm going to come into notes, and I'm going to go into computers. It's going to, any secure notes, it's going to ask you for the master password again, because you have to think maybe one of your secure notes there is your tax returns, and you don't want anybody else looking at your tax returns, as an example. So I got to log back in just to be able to access my notes. And here's my machines and all the passwords I have recorded. That machine there and that machine there in particular, I have multiple drives. I have multiple OSs of Windows and Linux. So each one of these has their unique identification, what the OS is, who's the account holder, and what's the password. And if there's a PIN number, it may have that information as well. So this gives you some of the ideas of the horsepower that's honestly available in a password manager. The only thing I can suggest is, if you're interested in this, I am creating a document. I'm at best half done with it, and lots coming up here. If you want it, go in to the chat area, select my name by clicking on the down arrow next to everybody, and selecting my name, and send me your name and email address. And when I got the document done, I'll send you a copy. That's the best I can do at this time, because it's not going to be ready the same time a video of this is ready, no matter who made the video.
There's two Tim Ks. Which one are you? Either one?
I'm both. One's recording and the other one is me speaking. Okay, so go to I'm on Tim K, because that's where you can see me. And the other one is the one that's doing the recording. I think it says Tim Kekeis. That's doing the recording. Pardon me. So generally speaking, LastPass allows me to have high security, never repeat my passwords on internet-based accounts, gives me privacy and a lot more security than probably the vast majority of people out there using computers, and that includes your smartphone. So it depends on what kind of a user you are. And I sincerely believe that most people have quite a few online accounts. You need a password manager. If you, for every account you have right now, you need to go into it online with the password manager set up. You then log into that account however you're doing it right now. You find out where passwords changes are either in your individual account and or under security settings. And you gotta then say, I want to change my password from what it is right now when I logged in. Have the password manager generate a new password that complies with the rules and regulations. If they don't state a rule, usually everything can be checked on the generator to say I'm using uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and special symbols. And it usually takes it just fine. Again, I recommend at least a 16-character password. You don't want to remember it. That's the worst thing you can do. Just focus on logging into your individual accounts and LastPass. Those are the only ones you should ever have to remember. LastPass or other password manager will do all the work for you. Bob, and it's been brought up before, there's another open source password manager that's come up this year. At least that's when I heard of it. I can't think of the name of it. Do you remember?
Kekeis, it's either cross-platform or multi-platform.
Which
It
one?
is Kekeis. It's not Kekeis for Windows.
No, it's
but
not Kekeis that I was thinking of. It's a different one. It starts with,
Okay,
I think,
there-
with a B.
That one I don't know.
I can't remember the name of it. Darn it.
Let me check Dr. Google, see what he says.
All right.
Open source password manager.
Is it possible to set up a alternative host for the LastPass account?
If you're saying you want to store the password information somewhere other than LastPass online, generally speaking, no. However, and this is at your risk, you can go into LastPass, and I'm trying to remember where it's at. I think it's under, yes, okay. If you go into account options and go into advanced, you have an export. It will create a .json file. This is not encrypted. If you put a copy somewhere, you better encrypt it with a very good password before you put it on the cloud, or somebody else can get it. It would be the equivalent of putting your tax forms out there. If you put your tax forms out on some other site, it better be encrypted, or anybody who breaks into your account has full access to that information. Okay, Bob.
I found what you're talking about. You're talking about Bitwarden.
Yes, Bitwarden.
Bitwarden is non-free, but they claim to be open source.
Yes, and
frankly, those of us in the open source community are divided between two camps.
yes,
Those who consider non-free not to be open source in the sense of free libre, and those of us who prefer things like Kekeis, which is free libre or open source. Just wanted to make that distinction.
that's fine. I think OnePass, if I remember right, requires you to pay for its services. I don't remember Dashlane, whether that required it up front or if there was free usage also.
Yeah, the other nice thing about having something that's totally cross-platform, like either Kekeis or Bitwarden, is that you can have the database separate from the program, and you can store the database anywhere, including a flash drive, so that now if you use somebody else's computer, you can plug that in and then unplug it and get rid of all traces.
Yes, but at the same time too, when it comes across platform, I think when I first opened up on this, I said LastPass has always worked for me on all versions of Windows. I've had it on Mac OS, Linux, and I use Debian base, Gecko, which is RPM base, like Red Hat. And also I've used it on Arch base Linuxes. So And I did have it on at least an Android phone a long time ago, but when they decided they wanted to charge, I took it off of there. And I've been using it free for, like I say, over 10 years. I think it's a great resource, and it makes your information more secure and harder for the bad guys to get. And that's what it's all about.
And
And that's the other thing that I brought up earlier. I'll repeat again, because I've had recently somebody I had to help out, actually a couple people. They only had a single account. When you only have Windows with a single account, that's the administrator. That means anything bad that gets into your computer has full administrator's rights to do anything they want to do. And the first thing they do is disable all your system's defenses, take what they want, and they control your machine as a zombie. I've seen it happen in person because I know of a person this year who got severely hacked, and it was beyond me to be able to really help him out of his pickle. So it's a real threat. This is the real world. Look at the missionaries down in Haiti. $1 million a piece for 17 people, including an 8-month-old child. Ridiculous. So this is what these people do. They want to extract all kinds of money because they are organized crime. And they will try and extort on ransomware whatever they think they can get out of you, even an individual, because I've seen that happen too. But also when it's a corporation of some kind, they extort large sums of money. But the FBI is getting more and more involved. The government is trying to crack down on companies paying the ransom, because it just encourages the criminal actions even more. So you're either helping out the criminals, or you put a stop to them. And this is where having good quality backups, and several of them, because the last backup you may have infection in it, and you may have to go back maybe several backup versions. Yes, you lose a bunch of stuff, but at the same time, you don't lose everything. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, I think I've covered most everything that I really want to do.
Kim, question.
Not allowed.
The Lastpass, you're basically dealing with an application that's kind of online of sorts.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Has
most of
it-
the information is for
Yeah.
online.
What happens if Lastpass crashes? Are you locked
Well,
out of everything?
Yes, unless you set up early the feature where you can get to your LastPass on your individual machine, because there would be a copy there that you can look at and use that in its place. I know that's doable, but right now I haven't had time and remembered to try and get mine set up that way. So right now I have an exported copy of my database. I have that encrypted, and that way it's secure on my machine. All I have to do is go in, give it the right password to decrypt it, and I can see the whole list and do what I want to do, even though I can't get to LastPass. So yes, it happened to Facebook, Instagram, etc. fairly recently.
Yeah.
It was a configuration problem there, but there have been other issues where it wasn't a configuration problem. but somebody else may have crashed into the system and caused the outage for an indeterminate period of time, including ransomware. That's another reason they could be down, is ransomware.
Okay, thank you very much, Tim.
Tim?
Hmm?
Tim, there also is a division of two schools of thought, one of which says that you should not store things in a browser because of
Yes.
security considerations.
That's what I
And
was
that
getting to.
includes using LastPass as the browser extension. And that school of thought says it's better to have a desktop app. There's
Well-
another school of thought that says it really doesn't make that much difference because the LastPass extension has proven itself to be pretty secure.
Yes, and but here's the thing. Unless you have a feature set up on yours to have a local copy in addition to the cloud copy of LastPass, and this may apply to other password managers. It's a case where all of it's encrypted in both places exactly the same way, because when I create a new account here, it's encrypted here, and a copy of that encrypted information goes up to my account in LastPass, so I can access that same information moments later if I can transport myself from here to, say, the public library. And I can go into the library, I can bring up a browser, I can put in LastPass, I can access my account, telling it not to remember any of my login information. I can do all my work to my heart's content. When I get done, I log out of LastPass, and most libraries are set up where as soon as you log off, they wipe out what's on the drive, and they put a brand new copy that wouldn't know what LastPass was.
So Tim, can LastPass be set up as a portable app which you could put on a flash drive and run it from there?
I'll be honest, I don't know. It's a possibility. I don't remember coming across that information, and I've got too many irons in the fire right now to examine it, but I'd be interested in knowing if that's doable.
Because if you do have a password manager that can run in portable mode, then you can carry with you both the password manager and the database.
Well, in that vein, for those of us who are into Linux, you can put a live OS on there. You can have, if you use the right tool, a rewritable area of space on that flash drive.
Yeah,
And
persistence.
therefore, I can have my browser in there. I can set up the browser with LastPass. I don't care about the extra space of read-writable memory. I already have an OS. I have a browser that's set up with LastPass. I can go and plug that into anything that allows me to boot up off that flash drive. But more and more systems are going to be restricted. So if you went to a public library, they may not allow that. It may be locked out. But if you go to a friend's house or a relative's house, say during the upcoming Thanksgiving and Christmas season, bottom line, you can take the flash drive with you. Odds are you can boot their computer up off that flash drive. You change nothing on their system. You do what you want to do online in total privacy. When you're done, you remove the flash drive while rebooting the computer, and there is no trace left. That's as close I know that you can come with most of the password managers that work by an extension and put a copy up in the cloud.
Tim, a little sidebar, it's kind of a little off topic, but I actually run my Linux operating systems, I have several, off of an external hard drive in an SSD, which is in an enclosure. And with the modern USB 3.1 upward, Gen 2 especially, you can almost, as fast as you can run Windows on an internal drive, you can run Linux on an external drive. And that's something you really can carry the whole 9 yards with you. But that's an emerging trend which may occur. And
Yes,
it won't work with Windows. It won't work with Windows, but it will work with some other operating systems.
Actually, it can with Windows. I don't recommend it. If you do have USB 3.1 Gen 2 on a machine, and you know the machine you're going to go to and use, you can actually get a running version of Windows on a flash drive, have your browser already set up to use like LastPass or other password managers, and you can plug it in and run as long as the ability exists to boot off the flash drive.
Right.
If it doesn't allow it, and the person will not enable that feature for you, then you're stuck.
Yeah, my computer can boot from an external SSD as though it were a system drive.
Oh, I've done that before too,
Yeah.
both SSDs and even plain hard drives. I do a lot of work with drives with a USB adapter. I just plug it into a USB port on a target machine. I do backups that way if they're not in a housing or just, you know, plain drive. And I also have the ability to do cloning, repair work from another drive onto another system that's sick, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, well, this is all more advanced than most people would do.
Yes.
For the password managers, it's nice to know if one of them can run as a portable app. That's the simple way.
That's the closest I can come is via Linux that you would want to use. Windows and Mac OS on a flash drive, I think will be too slow unless it's a good high horsepower system with at least USB 3.1 Gen 2.
No, Tim, what I'm saying is the simple case is just that you have a portable app that runs as a standalone application.
And I can't answer that one.
And yeah, some do, some don't. But anyway, the way you do it, you know, where you've got it stored in the cloud and you use it in a browser anywhere you want, and then get rid of your traces, perfectly fine with me.
Yeah, it's really a case too where you got to understand when you're using a browser. In fact, if you're using a computer, period, you are creating log files, whether you understand that or not. It's a fact of life, and they record everything you do. So that, and browsers have browsing history. They also have caches built into them to temporarily store stuff for sites that you go to the most, and so on and so on and so forth. Cleaning your machine is part of maintenance. When you fail to clean that, think of your own home, wherever it is you live, and nobody doing any house cleaning. What's it going to look like in just a relatively short time? Odds are it will be a nightmare. If it's a nightmare, that's exactly what your machine probably looks like also. So you have to do cleanup programs. CCleaner is one of them. There's a package by IOBit. If the machine's more than 3 years old, I usually will put it on called Advanced Care. It has some cleanup capabilities. It also does some enhancements of what you have, and will also recommend software that is out of date. It's a free download. You load it into your system, and it'll update outdated software, which is always a security risk. Not just your OS, But all your application software must be kept as up to date as possible, or it has vulnerabilities that when you are online, some malware and hackers can take advantage of it, get into your system, use that vulnerability to raise them from what should be a standard user account that you're running on to an administrator's level, but that usually means some kind of a UAC message pops up asking for the administrator's password. If you don't read it and understand the message, don't put in that administrator's password, because you are elevating that software to an administrator level and they can control your entire machine and you become irrelevant on the machine.
Okay, and with
And
that, we're gonna call quits.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions on LastPass for Tim?
Yes,
Any other question at all?
yes.
Okay, Melvin?
I'm gonna be 92 next month, and my son you goes into my computer. Do I make a kind of memory disk for him to use it, or what?
Well, normally speaking, if you've got a will made out, I would include in the copy you have and whoever you have as an executor, what is my login password to the administrator's account? And what's the login to the password manager I use, so that somebody with the proper authority can go in after you passed away and either close accounts, remove all sensitive information that you may have put up in your lifetime, et cetera, but keep it as secure as you can so that others can't get into it that have no business in it. Think of relatives coming over for the holidays. If there's a lot of people that may come over, including neighbors and friends, who are nosy busybodies. They want to know everything you're doing and into. And if they come across that information, they're going to stick their nose into your private information, and you don't want that.
No, he wants to get in right now on like my emails and my checking
Well,
account. Do I
if you
keep
set
it
up-
separate from LastPass?
No, I have all my any online account I have, and I've got lots, and most people do. They're all in LastPass. I have a folder for email addresses. I have, if I were into social media like Facebook, Twitter, et cetera, I would have a social media account, and all those accounts would be login information would be there. Any banks and financial institutions, I've got a folder for those. I've got for devices that I have where I have to log into the devices like my routers, etc. All these things are doable in one basket. It's all encrypted. Only the administrator's password for your administrator's account plus the password for LastPass or other password manager you set up is all that person should need to get into anything and everything on your computing devices. But if you have multiples like me, you've got to have all the information on each one. I do not use the same login credentials on every computer. They are all different in some way. And I have the ability to remember a lot of it, but occasionally I forget. That's why I have the secure notes in LastPass, one of them labeled computers, and I have all the computer names to identify each one. I have the administrators login, the standard users login, and all their passwords. and anybody who can access that can go in and do whatever they want to on any of my machines.
Thank you.
Any other questions on LastPass?
Tony. Unmute yourself, Tony. You're muted. You're muted, Tony.
Is this better?
Okay, yes, slightly.
Read my.
I don't read lips.
I'm sorry. I didn't ask you to kiss me. You were saying that you had 3 browsers, Chrome, Firefox, and something else.
Edge comes with
and-
Windows.
And which one?
Edge comes with Windows.
Edge, right, okay. Are you recommending just to keep a minimum among, say, 3 browsers rather than having 4 or 5 or more?
A minimum I would keep are 2, okay?
Mhm.
Now, I want the 2 to be different. As an example, Edge or Chrome and Firefox, they are different browsers. They work a little differently. They're on a different base. And so if I log into, say, Edge or Chrome, I go to a website that I know pretty well. I look at the site. Something doesn't look right. Okay, I want to go to that other browser. I want to bring it up the same site, and I want to see what that looks like. Now, if both of them look the same, the next thing I would think of is to run Malwarebytes looking for a possible infection. If they look differently, then there may be a problem with a recent update in one of the 2 browsers, probably the one that doesn't look right. There is also the possibility that that site has a problem if both of them look the same, but it doesn't look right to you. They made a change and they may not know that it's not displaying the way they perhaps thought it would display. So there are 3 possibilities there. And by having 2 different browser bases, I have the ability to try and narrow that down a little bit as to what the problem might be and where it's at. If we really think it is a problem with that website, the best thing to do is to find out how to contact them by usually an email or within that account's web presence. You can leave a message with them to say, I think I'm experiencing a problem with the way your account looks. And can you please look into it? Because maybe you've changed something and you got unexpected results, or you changed something I didn't realize you changed, a new feature, a new look. And therefore, there's nothing to worry about. This is just the way it looks now, and you may have to live with what they now have.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Next question, anybody? Okay, with that, Tim, we're going to shut you down. And thank you very much. Thank you very much.